The Maxim Mellowspun DK, wow, why is that such a mouthful, is a DK weight yarn. Hello, speaking today. And it is from Maxim. It is a 100% acrylic. And when I saw the pattern that I was going to be using this for and saw that it was 100% acrylic yarn, I was very nervous because I'm not a big fan. Obviously, if you've been around, you know that about me. If you're new to the channel, just know that I'm generally not a big fan of acrylics for two reasons. One is because I live in a very warm climate. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, so it gets very, very warm. Even in the summer, or in the winters, I mean, it tends to be a pretty warm place around here. So acrylics tend to retain their heat more than other types of yarns. So I tend to shy away from it for that reason. But I also have a very ungrounded, unfounded, unobjective, unscientific, whatever the word you want to put in there, bias, phobia of acrylics from my many days growing up when acrylic yarn was cheap and scratchy, and so all of my blankets and clothes that my mother made so lovingly for me were made out of very inexpensive acrylic yarns. And I did not like the feel of those on my skin. Now, some of us have sensitivities to certain things like that. It is not a bias against inexpensive yarn. It is a bias against scratchy yarn because I don't like the way it feels. I don't like working with it. So even if I could soften it up in the process, or soften it up after the process, in the process, if it's scratchy, I don't like working with it. And the thing is that that's not isolated to acrylics. There are a lot of wool yarns that I also do not like the way they feel. Fisherman's wool, things like that, 100% wool that's not merino, that's not superwashed, that's not a higher end wool. Unfortunately, I have to say higher end because most of the wools that are lower end are going to be scratchy. And that just makes me miserable. So I try to avoid using those at all costs. So that's kind of where my bias against acrylic yarn comes in. It's twofold on that end. I mean, environmentally speaking, it's not great to have plastics. That's what acrylic is made out of in the environment, and I try and shy away from those if I can. But at the end of the day, that's not the big factor that is going to make me choose to use a yarn or not. So here we are using this Mellowspun DK that I never would have picked up if it were not for the Starlight Mosaic sweater that is put out by Crochet. I completed that sweater. It was an amazing pattern, so nice and easy to follow. It is one of those sweaters that just looks like it was very, very difficult to make, and it turned out that it was actually relatively easy. So I would say it probably took me about 30 hours to make it. Not that this Swatch Saturday is about that, but hey, you know what? I get on my little expeditions and talk about other things too. So let's get back and focus on this lovely yarn. This is Mellowspun DK in the colorway Buff. Now Mellowspun, I believe, also comes in a worsted weight. Don't quote me on that. If you know the answer to that, go ahead and put that down in the notes, comments below. I would greatly appreciate your contribution. But it does come in another weight, hence the reason this is called DK. So this is a, let's see. I'm going to roll this over so I can read it while we're chatting. Comes in 100 grams. 3.5 ounces, 284 yards. The price on this is a very, very reasonable $4.99. So I would say it is a, you know, closer to that budget-friendly kind of price. And my first impression is it's actually very, very soft. I'm shocked at how soft it is for such a budget-friendly price point. And I really like the DK weight yarns over a worsted weight, again, because I live in a very warm climate. I would rather have lightweight garments on as opposed to the heavier that you get with worsted. So it's super soft. I'm super happy that I can have a budget-friendly DK weight acrylic yarn that I don't mind using. The color range of this is that it comes in 33 colors. All of them are pretty much solid. So there's like maybe 6 different shades of white and then other shades of different colors as well. So the color range is not like, oh my God, amazing, unless of course you need a very specific tone of a certain color. Then this might be a good color range for you, especially if you need just the right white. And I know that for a lot of crocheters, finding just the right white can be a big challenge. So this one is called Buff. It's kind of a white with a slight pink hue to it, which when you see that project that I made, it has a purple and teal complementary color to it, so that pink kind of really pulls in and they tie together very well. Now I can't say that I picked those colors. That was one of the color options that was suggested by the designer, and I think she did a good job. The stitch definition, as we wrap up our 4th row of our single crochet and get a few doggy hairs out of there, the stitch definition is not bad. This is with a 5mm crochet hook. Now it does not have a recommended size crochet hook. It has a recommended needle for knitting, but not a crochet hook. Which, Mary Maxim, I'm a little disappointed that you kind of are forgetting about us crocheters, but it is what it is. We're kind of used to it by now. The stitch definition, this is with the 5mm, I don't know, it's, I would think that with a solid yarn, there would be a little bit of loss of stitch definition. I don't think this is the greatest. I don't think that this is very, you know, anything to write home about. I wouldn't say it's terrible. There is a slight haze on this yarn. It's just very subtle. And I'm finding that there are very few yarns that I actually test that don't have that subtle haze. Subtle halo, not haze. The Drapeability on the single crochet with a 5mm hook, I'm not gonna say that's great. I'm actually gonna say it's kind of not that great. Not great. Not that great. Okay, before we start with our double crochet, let's double check our handy gauge here. Now this says it's a DK, and you know, it could actually go either a DK or a worsted weight. I mean, it's kind of right there in that middle zone. So if I pull it tight, I get a DK, but if it's loosey-goosey, I would say it really does actually almost fit into that worsted weight category. So definitely something to keep in mind on your specific project. Now, I am not finding any splits. This is definitely not a gymnastic-friendly yarn here because there are no splits to be had anywhere in sight, which is always a good thing for us crocheters, just not a good thing for gymnasts. And let's do a quick check as we work on this. I believe this is machine washable. Yes, machine washable up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So I would say that is machine wash warm. And do not bleach, can be tumble dried, do not iron, suitable for dry cleaning. So this gets top marks for the washability. As soon as I finish this double swatch, then we will do the wash test, or I should say the friction test on it, because I'm not worried about this bleeding. I'm not going to worry too much about the washability test on it, and we will just do our friction test. Let's wrap up this last stitch here, and here we have the very lovely double crochet, which if you picked up, I started doing the double crochet wrong and fixed it halfway through. Let's go ahead and do our ribbit test. Let's see. Ribbit, 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 ribbit. Yeah, no problem whatsoever on that. And so we will give this a clean ribbit test. Now we will do the fuzzy wuzzy wear test. That's a cute name for it. I like that. I like it. The fuzzy wuzzy wear test. Does it fuzz was wear when it's worn? Yes. So let's see, we will give that the rub. And for those that are new, basically what I do is I take the crochet swatch and I rub it together to sort of emulate what it would be like if you are wearing this fabric around on a regular basis in like a sweater or, you know, a garment of some sort where there's going to be friction. And this often happens on sweaters when it is your arm is rubbing against each other or rubbing against the side of your body where there's also the same yarn, that kind of thing. So we can kind of see, actually, I'm going to cut this off because that was in there. That little hangy piece right there is going to give you the wrong impression. It was there before I started because that piece was snagged a little. Let's just kind of keep doing this. I'll give it a quick rub. And just a quick test. I mean, I can start to see a little bit of pilling here and there, a little bit of fuzzy, extra fuzziness coming. So I don't think it's the worst wear test that I've gotten. And I know I'm on a white background right now, but maybe if I don't know, this is always a hard one to kind of show you. But you can see there's a little bit more fuzziness there. Versus on this side, there's not quite as much. There's still a halo, but there's definitely some fibers that are hanging out a little bit there. So it's not great. It's not horrible. Let's go get our scorecard and give it a workup. All right, this is our Mellowspun DK. And fiber content, well, I give all of my acrylics a 7 out of 10. It's just my standard because it's not my favorite. Color range, I'm going to give this, we'll give it an 8 out of 10. Because while there are 33, there are a lot of shades that are very similar. And that might be great for you if you're looking for just the right shade of a white. but it also is like, okay, well, now I have that many less color options to pick from. The initial feel is really amazing. It is a super soft, it's almost as soft as like a Karen's, I'm gonna forget the name, Silky Soft, no, Karen Super Softs, Karen, yes, whatever, that one. And even when it's worked up, I have to say that it still has a really, really nice feel. I'm gonna give this one a 10 out of 10. Definition, I didn't think it was that great on the single crochet. It's not bad, but it's not great. I think it's actually better on the double crochet, which I don't think I usually say that. I think I usually get it the opposite. Usually it's better on the single crochet. So we'll give that, we'll give it a 7 out of 10. The splittiness. There is not a gymnastics split in sight, so we're going to give that a 10 out of 10. Frogability, no problems, 10 out of 10. The drape. So I would say with the double crochet, this is a fabulous drape. No problem. It's a nice lightweight. The DK, or the single crochet, it's not quite as great. And this is with a 5mm hook, so you can see there are actually a decent number of holes in there. If I went down, it's going to be a lot stiffer. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. And then the washability, on the fact that it can be washed, and actually in higher temperatures, that's fabulous. So, but the wear test, which I include in the washability, the wear test, I'm going to take a couple of points off. So we're going to give that an 8 out of 10. And then concerns, you know, I don't really think that I have any concerns on this. Again, other than the wear, which I accounted for, I think there's nothing particularly concerning about this yarn at all. I mean, okay, yes. Let's look at this. So this has been kind of hanging out in my stash. So it does have some, I don't know if you can see these or not, but there's some little kind of flayy little hairs, almost eyelash type hairs overall. So we're just going to take 1 point off, just because, you know, we can't be perfect here. We're going to take 1 point off, just one little point. Now, price. This is a $5 skein of yarn. You cannot beat that price. I mean, seriously, $5. We're going to give that a 10 out of 10. All right, let's see how quickly we can do this math. 7 and 8 is 15, 25, and 7 is 32, and 10 is 42, 52, 60, 68, 76, 86. Woo, look at me. See, this is good practice. 8.6 out of 10. Now, I gotta say, that's actually a really great score. And this is gonna have to be one that if I'm looking for a solid color acrylic, I am gonna definitely go back to Mary Maxim and seek this out, because I definitely tend to prefer the DK weights overall. I had no complaints using it whatsoever. I've even used it on an actual project. Again, here's that picture. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. If you've used this yarn, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you as usual. And I am going to share the link to where you can post your photos on YouTube of your projects with this yarn. So we'd love to see what you worked up to. Thanks so much, and make it amazing. Hey Farah, frog us out of here.